Okay, I think we have started now. Okay, so thank you everyone for coming to this event of the UpFamilies Network, where we will showcase some best practices on providing services for families of people in prison to help them. And well, I'm gonna start by presenting the framework of this event, which is the UpFamilies project, and myself. I am Alfonso Andreo. I am from Fundación Diagrama, which is an organization that provides social services to different vulnerable collectives in Spain since 1991. And we are now providing these services in many regions of Spain, with over 5,000 professionals and also volunteers. And well, in my department, which is the Research and Development departments, we also carry out projects, initiatives like research projects from the European Union. And in this case, the project UpFamilies, which is the framework in which the UpFamilies network of organizations has been created. I'm gonna show you a little bit. I'm gonna share my screen. Let's see. So, okay, I hope you're seeing my screen now, because I'm going to talk a little bit about first the UpFamilies project, which is a project that, an Erasmus Plus project, that where organizations from Romania, from Spain, from Portugal, from Greece, from Germany, we have gathered to, with the purpose of helping these families and the organizations that provide services for these families, so they are better supported and they can, and the families have or have it more easy to reach the services that can help them. As I said, we are two organizations from Portugal, which are Aproximar and Mundo de Carolina. We are two from Romania, European Strategies Consulting and Eventum. One from Spain, Fundación Diagrama, we are the coordinators of the UpFamilies project, and one from Germany, Interchange Nonprofit, and one from Greece, Athens Lifelong Learning Institute. This is, as I said, an Erasmus Plus, which is focused on digital skills, on inclusion, on promoting equality, social assistance, and we will see how the project tries to advance these matters. As I said before, we want to help both the families and the organizations that provide services for these families. For the families, the project tries to make the services more accessible for them, gather the services that are available in our countries, and try to make it easy for the families to find them, to connect with those organizations. And for the organizations, we try to gather the families' needs, the knowledge that we have, and train them to provide more adapted services to the needs of the families. As part of this project, we have created the UpFamilies Network, that, as I said, is a network of organizations that are committed to providing better services, more adapted services, more effective services to these families. Right now, well, maybe there are more at this moment. I am listing here the ones that are right now in our website, but our partners or from the different countries are all the time trying to get more organizations into the network, and the network, its plan is to keep expanding. with more organizations that are interested in this kind of adapted services for the needs of the families of people in prison. These are the ones that we have right now in Spain. We have 13 in Spain. We have 5 in Portugal. We have 6 in Romania. We have 9 in Germany. And we have 4 in Greece. Also, for these organizations to deliver on the promise of helping them be better, more specialized, more attuned to the needs of these families, because there are many organizations that work they are not already specialized. They work with vulnerable families, many of whom may have someone in prison, may be suffering from the impacts of that, but are not. These organizations may not even know, or they maybe have not asked. We have created an online training course. That is, this is the, let's say, the title, Helping Organizations Build a Better Future for Families Affected by Imprisonment. And this online course, which is right now starting its first edition in a couple of weeks or over the next couple of months, is gonna have both online training for the person that wants, that it's attending, like, let's say, modules where they can learn by themselves at their own pace. But after each module, there is a meeting with the rest of the people that are taking the course, the rest of the organizations, where we're going to have dynamic activities based on also sharing the experiences of all the organizations, also to reinforce this network, to reinforce the organizations in your country, so they can share also what they're doing, they can help each other, and we all of us, provide a better service to families. And we, for the families, are also developing a mobile app, which is the UpFamilies app, and this is meant for the families primarily, but also for the organizations, because the idea is that the organizations will come here and create profiles for their center, branches, services, for the families to be able to then go to this app and say, well, I am looking for psychologists in my area. So they search for it, they have a map, they have a section of favorites in case they want to remember an organization that they liked. They have here buttons where they can open directly the phone to call the organization, Google Maps to know how to go to it. They have more information on each organization. They have different, they can categorize or look for the services depending on the kind of service, the kind of member of the families, if it's for children, if it's for the spouse or the partner. So we hope we have made it easy for families, and now we're going to test it for families. It's right now in the phase of testing, and we hope that families are gonna find it useful, and we are gonna ask them basically in the next couple of months. We're gonna be testing it with families in our countries and see what they think of it. We also have made a roadmap on programs and services that meet the needs of families affected by incarceration, which is basically a document that where we summarize the mapping that we have done in our countries. We have done also a mapping report, a little bit more extended, of the services that we have found, services that have said, yeah, I'm interested in helping these families. Also, the gaps in the service provision that in each country we have found, and in general, and also in the literature that we have researched, and the policy recommendations that we have elaborated after all of this research, also in a summarized form, because we also want to use this document to do advocacy for policy making that could help these families and the organizations that want to deliver services to them. And this is basically all, but if you want to know more about this project, which which is ongoing, which is right now delivering its course and testing its app, and soon both the course and the app and the roadmap will be available for everyone. We encourage you to come to our website, which is this one. It's quite easy, UpFamilies.eu. We are also on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, just searching for UpFamilies all together. We'll get you to them. And well, this is all from me. I thank you for coming to this day, and I hope our speakers and their experiences working with these families will be of interest to you.
Thanks a lot, Alfonso. And thanks to everyone who's sharing where they come from in the chat. We've got Paula from Children of Prisoners Europe, COPE, and you put your link there. That's really great, so other people can check out your website. Rachel from Cascais, Nancy from Scotland, Chanel. I'm sorry if I'm murdering your names, by the way. From Affect in England. If you all want to put your websites up there, it would be really interesting. I know for everybody else on this call to find out who you are and what you do. So the aim of this is exactly that, is to bring people together who do a similar thing within their own communities, to find out who they are and what they do, to share and exchange this experience, and hopefully to learn from each other. We've got three very kind speakers who've agreed to do this first session with us. But if anybody else in the future wants to present what their organization does, we'd be really pleased to hear from you, because we're going to hopefully run these sessions a little bit more regularly. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Luís. Have I killed your name, Luís? Or is okay. Luís Fernandes is a psychomotrician.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm just going to read out your bio, shall I, Luís? Or do you want to introduce yourself?
Maybe I can introduce myself.
Yes, go for it.
And maybe take a little less time.
Thank you.
So, good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be here with you. Some faces that I'm seeing is familiar faces from Romania meetings. The others are not faces, are just the initials. But my name is Luís, and I'm a therapist that work with children and families, and develop my work in foster care houses or mental health cares for a child. And in the last years, I'm making an intensive work with children that has his mothers in prison, because I'm a past director of a foster care. There is close linked to a prison in Portugal, a woman prison. So all my work is around that area, and I think I will try to tell you some ideas that I have that work in this area. Okay, my English is a little bit sluggish, and maybe I'm kind of hesitating in some words, but I will try.
Your English is amazing.
Okay, thanks. So I don't know if I can begin or.
Yes, please go ahead whenever you're ready. And feel free, sorry, before you start, anybody, you can put your questions in the chat, or we'll do a quick Q&A with Luís afterwards. So as you wish. Go ahead, Luís.
Okay, so I will try to share my screen. Let me know if I can. I don't know. Okay. Maybe you are seeing my screen right now. I don't know.
Not yet. No.
Not yet.
Have you clicked the top right hand share button?
I think so, but I will try again.
Maybe it will ask you if you want to share the screen of this event or the full screen, and I think I have shared the full screen.
Okay, I will try, because I think that is my computer that is blocking, maybe. I don't know. So if you can, Ryan, I will try another thing.
Yeah.
I can send you it's just one pic. I can send you by mail and you share it.
Very good. Do that.
Okay. So it's quick. It's just one pic.
Yeah, you do it. I'm ready.
Yeah, because I think my computer is blocking, and it'll take more time to resolve that. Okay.
You can also always put it in the chat if you're okay with that.
Okay. I send to you by email.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just going right now. Between time, I can tell you some jokes to let the time go by. I'm kidding. I don't know any joke to tell. So Ryan, I don't know if you just received.
No.
No.
Ah, here we go.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sitting in an airport in Istanbul, so my internet connection is not wonderful, I must say.
Okay.
Alrighty, I'm downloading it now, and
It's just shared. Okay, so I can start to introduce, and my idea for today is to tell you about something about the model of intervention with children and families that are in risk or danger. Not just children that have parents in prison, but concepts about danger and risk more wide. So my idea is to bring you a model that I am with other people evolving in Portugal to make this intervention, and it's like a psychosocial therapeutic model of intervention. So I'm willing to speak to you about the model and get you to know. I'm seeing very, very small, Ryan, and I don't know if you can open.
okay. Let me try and figure that out. Wait. So now I won't blame the internet, I'll blame my technical capabilities. Alrighty. How about now? Is that still small?
I'm seeing all in blank. I'm seeing equal, but I don't know.
I can see it well.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh
it's
dear.
it's my computer. So I will start. So if you want to make an intervention based on a child point of view, okay, we can put the child's in our first scope look, and we're starting from the child and we're making the connections between her family and all the other things that and therapeutic and, in my view, psychosocial intervention must think about. So beginning with the child, okay, when I meet child that are in risk or danger and these families, and most of them are away from his families, because they are in foster care houses, or maybe the families are in prison. I always tend to start my view about that child and later about that family by making some kind of evaluation and getting to know three principal point of view. And one of them is the one that I think is most primal in some way. It's attachment. How this child is attached to his family. Attachment is being used by early years and psychologists like a very mother-baby term. But attachment today is viewed like a more wide concept. And attachment is very important to when I look about attachment, when is my primer point of view when I'm making this intervention with a child and his families, I'm looking about how he regulates his emotions, how the family reacts to his emotions, what the family emotions climate are. So when I'm looking about attachment, I'm not looking about a single connection between this child and this mother, this child and this parent. I'm looking about the family and the relationship that they have with each other. So attachment is one of the main areas that I work with, and it's like a first area of look. In the second area that my scheme tries to illustrate is story and trauma. Most of the children that passes to risk or danger has a history of trauma in some kind of way. Not just episodical trauma, but a continuous trauma. Because some of them lived trauma in the before getting in the risk or danger that makes, I don't know, his parents going to prison, or they going to foster care. Some pass and first childhood time into continuous trauma about the situation that they are living. And right now they are with the continuous and accumulating trauma because the situation that they are now, most of them away from his parents or living with another group of people. So I tend to make an history of trauma that child lived. It's a wonderful thing for me. I'm an enthusiastic therapist. When I'm making a trauma history of the child, I'm revisiting. I don't know if it's the correct term. I'm looking back to the story trauma of the family and each of his members. They are so close connected that I'm making. I'm looking for the child like a transitional model. I'm starting with the child, but I'm looking for the family. Just like we are seeing a beach, a great beach in Portugal. There are a great beach in Portugal. I'm seeing a beach from one point of view. There is a rock or some kind of or a dune. There is a child, and I'm digging that rock. I'm digging that dune. But when I'm sitting on that rock and dune digging, I'm seeing the whole beach and how the tides and the sand interact with that rock, with that dune. So looking for a story of trauma in the child is looking in many ways of the story of trauma in the family. Okay. So the first, the third line there, I'm starting from the child, begin this intervention with the child, is the knowledge that the family have about caring a child. Is like some kind of like executive function. how I know to care a child, how I know to care my relationships, how I know is healthy for our relationships. Is one third line that I most commonly see in the parenting support education. Okay, it's like a competence line. Okay, and how I make that competence that I'm growing in that family, in that child, adapted to that situation. It's like a third line. I'm beginning with the emotional lines, the ground, the roots lines of the childhood, of the child and family, and I'm getting to the third line. How this family know about childhood, about caring, about child development, about the right expectations. And I'm in the some kind of a line. The third line is more knowledge based. Okay, so I can think about a multiplicity of solutions to help that child and that family based on getting knowledge, passing knowledge. So when I'm looking when I'm looking to a child that is in risk or danger, I'm not seeing just a child. I'm making connections to gather the family, to bring the family in the center. So I can think some kind of starting with the child to get the whole family together. So just not a minor thing, it's a principal thing, but I don't have time to develop here, is working with the child, is working with the child that his parents have been. So when I'm working with the child, I must work with the child that his parents have been. Okay, because one of the main things that influence and the data that is today shows that in the very clear way. One of the principal things that impacts the parenting, caring, the relationship between parents and children is not what they are as adults, as grown-ups, is what they have been as child. The secret of the man is his childhood. Okay. So when I'm looking to a child, I'm looking in the long way but important way to the childhood of his parents. Okay. So it's like a closed circle. Okay, but it's like a fascinating closed circle. So this is my main lines of looking, like some kind. Oh, I'm starting to looking through here. I'm starting to work through here. But there are other things that I think it's important. Okay, and I always try to make this evaluation about these other things. And there are keys to intervention. There are keys to help us plan an intervention. So what are these things? One of them I like to call willingness to receive. Some people are ready to receive help. They will love when they are ready, but sometimes they aren't ready. So one of the first things that I try to do is tell them who I am, what's my belief and my goal, okay, and giving them time to be ready to receive help. Okay. Some people are not ready to receive the help that I think that is more important to them. They think there are other kind of help that I think that is important. I can go there and say to a family or to a child even that I think that is so important to work with your attachment, um, relationships, your emotional regulation. I don't know, I'm giving examples, but in this time that people are with another point of intention, and I can grasp him. I can't grasp him because they needed to start to think about uh, organization, I don't know, in prison, start to think about how can I communicate with my family, start to think about how can I manage my salary in prison. My intentions, therapeutic intentions, are in some kind of way in another track that the readiness or the willingness to receive of that family. And it's my goal as a therapist not to make a therapeutic approach based on me, in my knowledge. So it's important to get a balanced, mixed about being there to help, to dispose a help, and conducting the family to what we think eventually will be good for them, but not the other way around. Not making some kind of goal statements about what you think is good for this family, and in the meantime, I can help you with another things. Okay. So it takes to the other thing that I have here is a collaborative approach. I can think about a way to work with that children, with that families, not being a collaborative approach. And this collaborative approach makes a commitment disposal. And when I make that kind of presentation to another people here in Portugal or in the other countries, when I write that commitment disposal, they think it's about creating commitment in the families or child. But no, it's about making commitment in you. You are committed, not just the child and the parent. The child and the parent and the families has more excuses to not being committed. And they are working about a difficult situation, about a traumatic situation. You are more ready to be committed. Committed to what? Respect about the boundaries of your knowledge to get the things right and what the family wants to do, wants to get right. Commitment about going slow in some areas or just need to get fast and get done in the others. This kind of commitment is not a one-way step. This intervention is successful if the family are committed. This is true, but the intervention are successful too if the technical therapists are committed to a plan too, okay, and respectful, committed. So when I have a situation of risk or danger, not just a continuous situation, but some kind of happening that make this child away from his parents, the parents are in prison, are going to prison, some kind of situation of life that is bad and is causing the disruption of balance of this family. I just I need to get this situation on my comprehension, and I need to make a story of the problem, a trouble story. Okay, how can we look to this family and child and see what are the paths, the way that comes to here? What are the difficulties that leads to here? Okay, this is sometimes this is a painful process for the family, but a cathartic process too. Looking back with the support of someone and making my history. Okay, looking for my history, not to excuse me for what I am done, but to getting consciousness about what I've done, what leads me to here. I just can, the only way to make a change is knowing who I am. I never change from not knowing who I am. Okay, so making a trouble story, just like, okay, tell me the movie, the movie that comes to here that have this happening. Tell me the movie. What are the main characters? What they mean to you, okay, to get to here. In this movie, in these situations of risk or danger, are losses. The family suffers losses. Are griefs. Griefs, not only biological griefs, some people passed away, but griefs about expectations, idealizations, what I want as a family, what I want as a man, as a woman, what I dream when I am a child, and looking my reality now, it's a grief. I'm not what I'm willing to have been. I'm far away from what are my idealization of future, and this is causing in so much times what I call a preservative guilt. I'm feeling guilt, not like I'm responsible and I can change myself, because this is a good guilt, some kind. But I'm feeling guilt and I'm freezing in guilt. I'm staying in guilt. I'm drowning in guilt. Okay, this is a common metaphor image that I use with child and family. That the bad emotions, the emotions that we suffer from, they are not bad and good emotions, but the emotions that we suffer from are sometimes it's healthy to suffer from situations. It's a sign of good health. But it's not healthy to be drawn in situations. And when we are talking about parents in prison, there are so much drawing in guilt issues. Okay, some of them are explicit drawing in guilt, others are reactive drawing in guilt. I can be so so complete with guilt and saying all the times, this is an injustice, I didn't make anything, this is a whole crap, this system is a shitty mess. Okay, and I'm drawn in guilt, and I'm reactive drawing in guilt. So the guilt is a very common thing in this area, because even in parents that aren't in prison but are away from his child, are guilt because they aren't the parents they thought they will be. Okay. The most surprising thing about my years of work, I work in that area about 12 years ago, it's that the child too feels guilt. Some of the child feels guilt, like they are some kind of responsible for the situation of the family. If they are a good child, if they are less agitated, if they make all the things that the parents say them to do, if they apply the rules, maybe my family isn't that way. Maybe we aren't apart. So child too has guilt in it. Okay, very often. Not always, not in all the cases, but very often. Okay. So when I mean I'm promising that I'm getting fast from this point. I do not want to take more time. But when I'm looking for the risk or danger situation that disturbs the family, I need to make what I call a gathering and grasping the reality. Okay, not just the what occurred, the trouble story, the losses, the grief, the guilt that is in, but what I am now, what are in the more reality check view, in the point what I am now, what I want to do. Maybe I just need to discover what I want to do. This is my reality point. This is grasping the reality point. And making this gathering and grasping the reality, exploring the community that is involved with that family, the resources that we have, the barriers, making what we usually call a social evaluation about that family, systemic social evaluation. Okay. So, in my final words to you, this that kind of look, beginning with the child and going to the family, obliges to what I call a meaningful coherence. Okay, it's an intervention that needs to be coherent in these in these diverse areas, but not just so coherent in the mind of the therapist. It needs to be meaningful for that family, because it's not meaning. If it's not meaningful coherence, the changes are little, are in some ways are utilitarian changes. They change in that moment because we are asking and we are telling that it's a good thing to do, but we are not making a change in that individual, because changes without meaning tend to disappear. Changes in the way we behave tends to disappear. So I'm developing and applying a model that I call ICA. Okay, and it's a model, and each of the words has the three main dimensions of this. All of the things that I'm trying to tell you here in the synthetic way. E is for identity. Okay, and all of the things that we can do for gathering and respecting and finding the identity of that child and that family, and each one of the members of that family. Okay. C is for community, how we can bring this family and childhood back to life, back to relations with their neighborhood, with their city, with another city that maybe they want to live in and they want to grow. And A is for agency. Okay, making them powerful with their wishes, making not dependent on services. Okay, our first goal of a good intervention, how we manage to get a good evaluation of our intervention, is when the family and child doesn't need us anymore. Okay, it's wonderful. Okay, when they doesn't need us anymore. So in this ICA model, I have two more ramifications. Is very small time for me to explain you all the model and how we develop this model, but there are some keywords that I'm just saying right now. So it's very important to make a systematic evaluation, direct and indirect. Okay, direct is with child and family. Okay, evaluation all the things that starts from the psychological evaluation, psychosocial evaluation, educational evaluation, and some kind of work competence evaluation with parents. What are their profession, their skills? Okay, this is a systematic because this is all a system. Okay, and systematic because it needs to be, the data recovered from this evaluation needs to be integrated in the model of comprehension of the family and child. Systematic in both ways. We are evaluating the system, and we are gathering the information together. Direct and indirect because some of the evaluation needs to be made with other characters of this process. Maybe we can talk to other family members. Maybe we can talk to the teacher of the child to know how these parents look to education of the child. Okay, so there are direct and indirect ways of recovering data. Okay, most of all, this model needs to have an intention. Okay, we need to evaluate, and so we need to have an intention. Okay, and this intention needs to be coherent, as I said. That needs to have a consistency. Okay, I can be coherent and have meaningful to that child, to that family and child, but if I'm not consistent with the plan, I'm meeting this child two times a week and the family one time a week, and I'm maintaining this consistency. It's important to get the feel of security. Okay, and they can count on me. Okay, and needs to have one thing, this model, a centralization. We can make very therapists, social workers, and other professions to work with the child between this model. We may have 3 or 4 professions to work with the child and family behind this model, but that needs to have one person. There is some kind of a tutor. There is the main source of trades with the family, with the child, and that gathers all the contributes from other professions and from other workers. Okay, and it's responsible to maintain the direction of the intervention. If you have 4 workers working with the child and family in different areas, we can start with common objectives, but very soon, because we are all different and in different areas, we start to not making bad for the families, but we start to diverging. In some ways, I'm about to start to work with the family, the idea that carrying a child is in some times carrying the man or the woman, they are parents. So I'm giving an example. I can care of the child if I care for me too. And between the same objectives, okay, the other person are making a good thing, but are more centered and intensely centered in caring of the others, how to care about the others. And all the 2 things are important, but in that time, that timing of intervention, maybe they are antithetic to the feeling that I'm trying to give this family or child. Okay, so if there are a tutor, one person that gathers all these interventions, they can maintain the direction and getting the timings well. Okay. One of other things is centered in the C letter is community. To explore community, I just need to explore cultural, familiar, social rules, the role of identity, I don't know, as a woman, as a part of a cultural pool, as a parent, as a middle-aged man, as a middle-aged woman. I need to make count of all the identities that we have and respect them. Okay. And in some ways, my role in this model is not to give an identity, is to make the person that are in front of me, the child or the family, grasp their identities, identify their identities, and keeping a balance between them. It's not easy because all of us are struggling to keep balancing our all of our identities, like workers, like part of a friends group, like parents, and for that, and for this person and this child, if they lived trauma or risk or danger, the identity losing of identity and confusing identity is very, very common and very difficult to grasp. So if I'm engaged in a community, I need to make sense of my identity to make my engagement fulfilling. Sorry. Okay. So the last two things is three things, but I'm making it all one part, one phrase or one thought is the need to be true to this family and child, and to be real. It's different things. True is talking about what I feel of the process. Is giving a transparency about what I feel. And this is based in the therapeutical approach, like Carl Rogers' approach. Okay, like I'm when I'm as worker working with a child or a family, I'm in the way of being a person too, always being a person, me myself. I'm helping for them to being a person, and I'm just in that moment being a person too. So transparency is a very important thing with these families and child, but not just being true, but being real. And sometimes we know that we have small time to make these changes. We have 3 months, we have 2 months, we have 2 meetings because the parents are transferred to another place, because the child is to another family. And the real challenge is looking for all of that there is an ideal intervention with all the areas, and making the decision and communicating the decision to the family. I think that is important, this, and this, but we don't have time. We are addressing this only. In these 2 meetings, we are addressing this only, okay? And we, as therapists, as social workers, as professions, we have high hopes because we want to make a change. But these high hopes can get crushed in reality check. We just have 4 meetings with this family, and we need to make a plan. In these 4 meetings, looking to all these areas, what are you going to propose to this family? And tell them, okay? So this reality and clarity is very important, because all of this is important, but we need to adjust to the real life, real things, okay? So this is my idea. I'm just asking you, very sorry for extending myself, but I'm very happy to being able to share this enthusiastic feeling with you all, and I can ask I can answer some questions that can serve.
That's really great of you. Thanks so much, Luís, for that really detailed and fascinating presentation. I'm going to continue to. I'm going to stop sharing your diagram now, and so that we can see each other. And feel free to ask questions. You can open your mics, or you can put them in the chat. You can probably write in your own language, and someone else will translate for you. That's also fine. In fact, you can probably say it in your own language. There are people here with tons of languages, so just feel free to join in. Is there anybody here who does a similar thing to Luís, who takes a similar approach or is in a similar position as a therapist? Not at the moment. Listen, shall we keep the channel open, Luís? Maybe you're very welcome to share your contact details if you want to, or you can reach out to Luís through one of us in the partner countries or through me via the website. And otherwise, yes, there's lots of thank yous in the chats. Are you picking them up, Luís?
Yeah. I'm seeing all the messages. There are two things that I think when there aren't questions, there is maybe it's too good or maybe it's too bad. Nobody answer. So
I'm going to take the first one. Go for the win.
Let me take the first one. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Listen, then it was a little longer than anticipated, so we will move on, Alfonso, shall we, to the next speaker who is joining us, very kindly joining us today, which is Cristian. Cristian, I don't even have your bio, so would you be so kind as to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello to everyone. My name is
Thank
Mircea
you.
Cristian. I'm from Red UpFamilies Foundation in Romania. I started to work in prison in 1993. So I will try to tell you about the approach I learned through what I work in prison. First of all, I'm very glad because I'm in this panel, and I think I'm going to learn much more things about the way how to approach the family. But first of all, I want to explain to you that my first shock was when I was in the prison, or in 1993, when I went in the juvenile section in the prison, and 80% of the prisoners was orphans. So they had no family. They have no mama, no daddy. They never saw them. They was raised in the orphanage, and their behavior made them to end in the prison. So my first shock was to see how to handle with them. What kind of values I can refer to them, to speak to them, to can bring them back to something good. So it was really a challenge. It was a great challenge. So for that, I will gonna start to discuss with this. I'm very interested about family because we work with families, we work with prisoners inside. So what we learned is, first of all, that everyone, exactly like Maslow pyramid said, that everyone have a needs. And one of the important needs of every man, every human being is to be loved and love, or to be part of someone. Well, this is one of the problems we face in the prison. You know, we came from communist mentality, and in the communist mentality, prison was a place where people was locked up, not discussing about their rights, not discuss about the family, not discuss about any kind of model, how to try to reach them, try to bring them back to society. It was just punishment. So in all these years since now, it's a lot of changes in Romania. and still going. So we changed a lot of things. But what I learned was the problems didn't change, so are the same. First of all, I realized that my relationship with the prisoner have to evaluate his reality, and it is a joke in the prison. Nobody is guilty in the prison, so everybody is because something happened, but they are not guilty about that. Well, when we start discussing with them, we start to evaluate, and they start to realize, everyone start to realize it is there because they made a choice in their life. So it's sure the choice put them to be on the court, and then the court judge, and they decide that they should spend some time in prison. So the evaluation is very important for us, but it's very important for them. Why? Because if he's not responsible over their problems, they will never be responsible over the change. So I understood that one of the things is not to put them to be guilty, not show them with the fingers, you are here because you deserve. No, not at all. But just explain them that nobody was born to be bad. Everybody was born to be good. But something happened in their life, some decisions, some choices they have done in their life, and they end to be in the prison. So from that point, we can start to discuss and we can start to work out. Otherwise, if they come with the idea that no, I have nothing, I did nothing wrong, I was good, but something happened, the friends, the society, even it was a man in Romania, they sue God in court. I mean, it's not a joke, it's a reality. They sue God in court, they made a complaining to the judge because he said that he was a son of God, he was a Christian, and God didn't take care about him, and because of that, he entered the prison. So do you realize what kind of mentality? So, but we leave them aside. So first of all, we try to help them to understand that they did something wrong to end the prison. And because they did something wrong, their family at home suffer. Why it's important this? Because, again, I have to come with the background. In Romania, it was a time when prisoners have to receive food from home because it was the food in the prison was very poor. So they have to receive food from home, and they was very angry with the family. They didn't bring them a lot of things, everything they need, cigarettes, a lot of things they need to supply their need in the prison, but they didn't care about what kind of food the family have at home. So we realized this is something wrong. So we start to discuss with them, say, okay, look, you did something wrong, and you pay, and your family pay, and you are responsible over these things. But also you are responsible over the change. So we start to work with them to see what kind of problems they have. Exactly the evaluation Luís said. The evaluation, you have to have an evaluation. You have to help him to get to the point to realize what he did wrong and to accept that he did wrong. And this, first of all, this affects himself and then affect his family, especially his children, because they are very, very sensitive about the children. Then when we start to get the point that they realize what they did, we try to find together a solution. So I used to say in prison often, the darkness is not something should be. It's the absence of life, of light. In a room, it's a dark because it's not light. In the life of someone have a hate because it's not love. In the life of someone have a guilt because he doesn't have hope and forgiveness. So what I realized in all these 30-some years working in the prison, it is many times prisoners come and tell us, we need something to take us from this guilt. So the only things they can take us from that guilt is forgiveness. Well, I know it's not a kind of a socialist, no psychological term, forgiveness, but it is. If a man doesn't forgive himself, he doesn't receive forgiveness, he cannot go further from that point. So what we try to encourage them, it is to try to resolve the problems with the family or those people who hurt themselves. I want to give an example. It was a man from country of Moldova, was in prison in Romania, and he was stealing a lot of things. So we discussed, I think we worked with him like 2 years. So he realized that he did wrong. I mean, he did the wrong thing. So when he realized that, the first step he did, he sent a letter to his wife. And he said, go into the attic of the house and those in that place are the things I stole from those neighbors. Take them back. Take them back and tell them, I'm so sorry. I ask them to forgive me. I cannot go on with this guilt. So what she did, his wife did exactly these things. She went to the neighbors, pick up all the things was hide in the attic of the house, and give them back. From that point, when the man felt that he did wrong, he did the right, the things he was doing wrong in the past, he had the freedom to go on the next level. The next level was to ask forgiveness for his family, because they were suffering at home with all the needs they have, family, social needs, emotional needs, protection needs, everything. And all this was happening because he made a wrong decision. So we try to contact them, we try to put them together, and we try to show them what it means a family value. So I'm going to go to the second very important things to us. It is, what is the definition of the family? So in these years, since we work in the prison, I realized there are many definitions. And it looked like in the future, there will be much more new definitions. I don't think that will be a good definitions, but I don't want to fight over those things. But a family should have a father and a mother. From the father, the child had to receive respect of the work, had to respect the respect of the authority, have to respect the respect of and love and care for wife and child. From the mother, a child should receive love, protections, and understanding things, teaching him great things. Well, if a family is not functional, then he receives just part of the things. The other part of the things he doesn't receive. So again, I go back to the things I met in the prison. I met a lot of prisoners that was raised by just one parent. And I asked questions. I asked a lot of questions trying to understand why. And the answers was, in my family, nobody say I am not right to do these things. My mother allowed me to do everything I want. In my family, nobody tell me what to do. I am doing exactly what I want, because they was raising by mother or by grandchildren, my grandfather, parents, because the mother or the father was gone abroad to work, or they was gone. They was just leave them on the street. So I realized that one of the very important things for prisoners and for the families, and try to define what is a really family. And a really family, it is those two sides, side by side. So when I'm working with the men in prison, we and with the men, we try to have, and like you saw on the Jilava prison, but that was just 10% of actually what we're doing. We have a family reunion, and on those family reunion, we bring like maybe 50 families, 15 families, no more, with children, and it's mother and the children. And if the mother is dead or someone or is missing or is just leaving, his mother can bring them, or the grandmother can bring the children to prison. But that time together, it is trying to reconnect them. We work with the prisoners, with the men and with the ladies, trying to tell them what is the value to be a father or a mother to a child. Even if you are in prison, you are responsible over the future. Why? Because if you are not responsible, you are missing. When you'll be free, you have your expectation then to go back home and to take them from the same point, we leave them home, like maybe 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, or 18 years. So these things cannot happen. So we try to work together with them. And those hours, maybe 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, we try to show them what it means to be a family. Of course, in the beginning, they are separated, husband on one side, wife in one side, the children in the middle, or they are really, they are strangers. So we try to explain them, they should not be like that. The child need parents, both of them. They should try to live together. They should try to have the same desire and the same values for the good of the child. So when we did this family reunion, we target to try to explain to the mother and to the father what it means to have a really family. Well, we found prisoners, young prisoners in the prison. I found them many. They get in the prison because of the family get divorced. And they have that kind of trauma of the divorce in the family, and they feel the guilt because of they divorced because of the child was not good. So this was something wrong. So again, we go to the same people. Doesn't matter if they are young, if they have this problem, this trauma. We explain to them there was nothing wrong with them, was something wrong with the family. Because again, they never have a really value of the family. The definition of the family should be right and live right. Okay, so beside the evaluation, beside realizing what you have is the responsibility, beside understanding what is the definition, you have to try to find a solution. Okay, the solution, now the solution is a really challenge, because we in Romania, we don't have a social assistance services like you have in all these European states, because we still develop our country. This is reality. We are 15 years on the communism, and you don't have a clue what was there, but was terrible. Anyway, so now we are trying to develop. We try to make things good, and I'm very glad of that. But it's a process. You cannot do them overnight. We have to think, the Romanians have to think the process first. So we don't have many social providers like you have in Spain to can be able to connect with some agencies or some different organizations to help the children, help the parents, have the needs, social needs, emotional needs. So we're working with volunteers. So we have in Romania some hundreds of volunteers. We try to prepare them. We try to teach them. We try to prepare them to know how to work with them. And we try to explain to them what is the psychology of the prisoner, first of all, because we work mainly in the prison, how to apply, what to expect, and how to don't be manipulated by them. And then we explain to them that if they know how to work with them, they should know, and they'll know how to work with the family outside, because they have to work with the family outside if it's necessary. But what it is important for us, it is we don't expect, and we don't accept anyone to be our volunteer. You will say why, and I explain to you why. If I am not a man with the value, I cannot teach the values. So I expect for the people who are coming to work with us as a volunteer to be able, like I'll give an example. Many of the prisoners, they work maybe 20%, 30% in the past was with in the prison because of the alcohol. So many of them, they ask me, do you get drunk? I say, no. How come? I say, no. Why? I say, to be able to come to tell you, you can live without alcohol. And they were shocked. I say, yes, I will be hypocrite, and I can come to tell you, to teach you something, and I don't live those things. So we try our volunteers to be a people who have a value, to be able to speak, and to don't be ashamed when someone is going to ask you, what about you are cheating your wife? And they should say no. What about the getting drugs? They would say no. Otherwise, they cannot be our volunteers. So our work is based on the quality of the people who are able to give example through their personal life. Why? Because when the prisoners get out from the prison, they should be able to connect to those men and need to ask for help. Otherwise, I don't have people around us. I'm living in Constanța, in the southeast of part of Romania. I was trying in the last 30 years to find some organizations to try to collaborate with them, connect with them, but to have these values is not my profit, it's the profit of the families of the prisoners. And I'm sorry to say, I don't say. So what I did in this case, I tried to raise a group of the volunteers to work with them. Yes, it's important, very important to have this kind of values, but I go back to the family of the needs of the family. The need of the family is to be together. So what we are trying to do it is we have special programs in the prison where we work with the prisoners, men and ladies, help them to understand what they should do to try to get responsible over the children outside, how they should act, how they should think, and how they should ask forgiveness for the family. I have an example, and I didn't want to show pictures because we're not allowed to show pictures of the prisoners. I work in one of the prisons, and was a young man, was 32 years old, We just finished this program with us, Step Back for Family Home. And then this man stood up in the meeting and he said, on this age until today, I never asked to anyone forgiveness. He said, starting with my mother or my father or to my wife. After I made this program, I realized that I was wrong. So first thing I did, I called my mother and I asked her to forgive me for everything I have done. And I bring her shame and I bring her guilt. And I'm so sorry. And I have to do everything. I'll try to do everything I can to try to change these things. Then here's my wife in front of me, in front of you, and my children. I ask her, I beg her to forgive me. And ask my children to forgive me because they are suffering home, because I make wrong decision. So we try to explain that it's nothing wrong to receive, to start to be responsible, to have guilt in your life because you made something wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. I was in a country, I don't want to name the country, in Europe, and I was speaking with some teenagers, and someone told me, you should not dare to try to bring guilt in front of the teenagers because you can end the prison. I say, oh no, I don't want to get here in the prison. I can go in Romania, but not here. But I realized people are afraid to have guilt because think that guilt can give that damage the character of the people. No, it's not right. I don't think it's right. That kind of crazy guilt, yes, but the right guilt to bring responsibility is nothing wrong with that. So what we try to do in Romania is then when we see the people of the family needs, we go to the families at home and we try to fill the needs. We build a house for someone. They was living in the Dobby house, plastic and paper, and it was ex-prisoner. And his desire was the children to go to school. So I said, okay, because you have the desire. He didn't know to read, he didn't know to write, but he have a desire that his children will read and write. So I say, no problem, let's try to build a house. So what we did, again, volunteers, I asked all my friends, all the people I know, I say, can you help us? So I want to tell you that in 2 months, we built, I was every day there. I worked every day in those houses from 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock in the night. And we built a house. When the mayor of the city hall realized that the house was built, he could not believe. And he said, who did this? I said, the society. So for us, in our mentality, it's the reintegration of the ex-prisoners or prisoners in the family is very important if they have the society side by side with the family and side by side with them. It's a long process, and it's a long process and a hard process because in most of the families, in many families, the education is very low. So what we did again, we tried to ask volunteers and try to raise a number of volunteers to try to be able to and willing to go to make education in those areas where the families and the community have no education. Yes, it's a long process. Yes, but we're not discouraged. We believe that if one life is changed, the second one can be changed. So what we see, what we receive from families letters, from prisoners letters, when they thank us for things they change in their life. We receive letters from prisoners. They are married and they are thankful to us because we teach them things. Now they are free because of those things. We meet one of my colleagues meet someone in Bucharest in the McDonald's restaurant, and he came to see him, and he was with many people on that restaurant, and he asked him, do you know me? I said, no, I don't know you. You should remember me. Say, maybe I remember, but I don't know from where to take you. And he said, from prison, from Jilava. And he said, I'm here just to tell you, this is my wife and my daughter. I am free, and I want to thank you so much. Everything you teach me in the prison. Now I'm trying to live in my family. And I'm really happy and thankful. So it will be to summarize the many things I've already said. First of all, it is to try to realize the place where they are. Second, become responsible. Third, to try to find a solution. Then, to define what kind of family he has to become. And then to define the really family. And the last one, it is the faith. In Romania, it's a Christian community, Christian country, and the faith is very important for the people, everyone. So we try to tell them when something is look like have no power to finish. I mean, you have no solution for all the things around you. You have one more solution: pray to God, and you're gonna have answer for sure and help. So this is what we are trying to do. And we are very glad to be part of this family app. And I'm very thankful because you allowed me to share with me the little knowledge I have.
It's us who are grateful. Thank you very much. That's what a really another fascinating insight into an organization doing very similar work. And I've noticed some people bring out parallels between the two presentations in the chat. So you need to take a look at those, like the trauma-informed approaches and stuff like that. Thank you very much. That was excellent. Any questions, either in the chat or you can turn your mic on. Feel free, any language.
If I can tell, I'm hearing Mircea. I don't know if I spoke your name right.
Mircea, it's good. It's good. No,
Okay.
it's good.
I'm hearing and I'm thinking what an important thing that you said. There is the forgiveness thing. Okay. And I'm very aligned with that idea that the guilty feeling never go away if we not address them. So maybe we are in fear of not bringing guilt to this person, thinking that they go away. If you don't talk about that, the guilt goes away with the time, and this is not true. Okay, the guilt has a ruminating movement in the mind of people, and in some people that I see and that I work with, it's a thing that I always trying to say: bring clarity to the difficult feelings. Bring clarity, not a blanket. Okay, so in some ways, I think, in my experience with parents, mostly women in prison, what I think is that they just receive what they think they deserve to receive, and they think that deserve to receive good emotions, a good family, comprehension of his child, of his parents. I don't know if they can forgive themselves. Not saying I'm not responsible, but I can forgive myself, and so I'm a person that deserves love too, that deserves a new life. If I'm not talking about guilt or responsibility, I never address that feeling, and maybe I'm making a plastic process, because the person in front of me are deeply, they feel that they don't deserve a good life because they never forgive themselves. Not just ask forgive to others, but forgive themselves. Okay, I don't know if it makes sense, but I'm thinking about that when I'm hearing your talk.
And also they think they don't deserve love because they did something wrong, and this is not right. It's not right.
Thanks so much for those extra comments. Any other quick questions or comments before we move on to the final presentation? You've all been really patient. Thanks ever so much. And without further ado, I'm going to pass on to Maria. who has been smiling at us with her wonderful headset for the last hour and a half, and I'm sure listening into everything that's gone before. Maria, would you be so kind as to do your own bio, because I am afraid of pronouncing your name wrong.
Right. Well, this is Maria José Bodego. I'm a volunteer in prisons with the organization Solidarios para el Desarrollo in Madrid, actually. And I've been volunteering since 2005. And well, Solidarios has started this group for, well, to support family with relatives in prison since last February 2023. So it's just quite recent. We this activity with families of the inmates is a space created from our experience as volunteers for over 30 years. We've noticed that the social entities are mainly focused on the inmates, but not paying special attention to their relatives that in some way are suffering the sentence as well, with the stigmatization of the in society, although they did not commit any crime. This pilot project has started at one of the prisons in Madrid, and we expanded it recently to a second prison. We've got a monthly meeting with family members that come over to an office, and so that, and also they can reach us anytime. Let's say via WhatsApp or on the phone, so that any time that comes up any question for them that worries them, they come to us asking that question. Actually, we're mainly focused on three aspects, and it's the formal reception for families from the prison administration. This is our main target, is the prison administration to consider the families as part of the penitentiary environment that will help the well-being of the inmates. And if they, because we notice that if the inmates feel that their families outside are safe, are calm, the inmates are also calm, so that penitentiary system would run much better. We consider that it could be an opportunity of helping the whole system to run easier. So that to propose this dialogue between the administration and the family, and to take them into account. Initially, it was quite difficult for the family members to come over because they feel quite ashamed about what has happened, and they feel really this stigmatization, and they do not want to talk about what has happened with anyone, because they are not going, as my colleagues just said previously, if someone has not experienced a type of this situation, they are not going to understand how they feel. So that when they come to us, they just open their heart. They can't really distrust to the first meetings, as they think, well, who you are you going to try to convince me of? And once they feel they feel confident, they feel this paper is going to probably help me with any question I have, or any worries I have. Usually, the questions that are coming up are related to permissions, to the visits, to the packages that are permitted to get in, the money the inmates can use inside, any kind of jobs that can the inmates can work on. And one of the main worries is, what are they going to do once the inmate is getting out of prison for good? No jobs, the stigmatization again. So is it going to repeat the same? And well, we discuss about that a lot, trying to give them connections with any other organizations, or we've got, as a volunteer as well, just for a period of a year, actually, is a lawyer helping this group with any questions, as he's been inside and he knows the procedure of everything. And we've actually have already one a meeting with one of these two prisons director and two social workers, so that we brought them 10 proposals that we could get told together from this group, from this family supporting group. Two of them are moving forward. The other 8 were rejected because of security reasons and some functioning, the functioning of the institution itself, that they explained to us the reasons why they couldn't accept those proposals. And the proposals, these 2 proposals accepted, and we are working on, are to create together with the penitentiary administration a welcome leaflet. It's very hard for them. Once they got this phone call saying, I'm in prison or I'm at the police station, they don't know where to go, visit stays, who to talk to, where to get all the information. They do not how to move themselves. They feel scared, they feel ashamed, they feel guilty as well. So, am I done something wrong because my son is inside? It's my fault. Let's say that. And so with this leaflet that we are preparing, we are working on it, so that we want to just to write down all the rules that we find out that they need to know. And the second place is to create a playroom for the children. And this playroom would be located at the waiting room area of the first access to prison, because it is a gray, let's say gray-green space while they are waiting, probably half an hour, and the kids are there as well. So just a few toys or a color or something in one of the corners would be enough, would be something that we consider important for these kids living that situation. And we really believe this kind of projects for families affected by imprisonment are a need for the penitentiary systems. So this is what we are working on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maria. Wow, that was fantastic. And you've had some interest in the chat as well, asking about the name of Solidarios. Are there any further questions for Maria? Please chat. You can take your mic off.
Well, before, while other questions are coming, we were talking about the ways that you reach these families currently for them to know about your service. Could you explain a little bit?
Yeah, we place just a note with all our details, with the phone number and our entity at the waiting area, at the waiting room. so that they can see the phone number, or just saying, do you need help? Are you a family of the inmate? May we help you? And it's mouth to mouth, going from one family to another one, and it's working in that way mainly.
Mm-hmm. And it is your monthly meeting. It's a like a support group. Like there are more than
Exactly.
one family at a time. They share the
Mm-hmm. Or the family. These meetings we have then during the weekdays, and sometimes some people cannot get to these meetings because of the timetable of them. But anyway, we are reachable at all time on the phone, so that they send us through this WhatsApp group the questions or the worries, and we are in contact anytime they need.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like there are moments when they especially need you. For example, when the relative first enters the prison and they need a lot of information, right? What are the main questions?
Exactly. Yeah. The very first time, it's really difficult because they don't know anything about the system, the penitentiary system, so that how it works, who to call to, how can I get the visits days, where to go, where to call. So it's really difficult for them, and there is nothing from the administration focused on the families. So everything is focused on the inmates, but nothing for the families. And not in Madrid that we know, and we haven't heard about any other organizations with this purpose exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was interesting for me to hear about the. I mean, it is a common need of information, basically, of like such thing that it doesn't cost so much, but it seems like it's such widespread among the families, and it seems like nobody is there from the. There's not a system from the penitentiary system itself to deal with this kind of very common needs of a family, that it's information, someone, someplace.
Social workers inside prison, they can be contacted by their family members, but what happened is that in each case the phone calls take quite a long time. I mean, say half an hour or an hour or so to discuss with the family member calling the social worker, so that this social worker cannot attend to all of them. We know that there is someone getting the phone calls daily, but they cannot be attended. Let's say in the first prison that we go, there are 1,200 and something inmates. So imagine it is absolutely impossible to answer all the questions that are coming on the phone, calling daily. It's absolutely impossible. If they have this leaflet, it's a question of information. It's just that. To try to help, try to understand. Once you understand things all over the world, anything, once you understand them, you feel confident about what you are doing, but whatever, let's say, I don't know, whatever. If you understand the way of running it, it works much better.
And it seems that sometimes it's also good because you focusing on the families, you sometimes can think about their needs independent sometimes from those of the person inside that may not give them the complete information or the right or the
Well, we also have the cases that the inmates, they don't give the families many details about what is happening inside, just not to worry them. So sometimes they families outside do not understand some situations just because they don't have the proper information from their families inside. In that case, we can. I mean, we cannot do anything if the son, the brother, the the father or the husband has, if he doesn't want to give any more details about what has happened, why has he visited the doctor, or there is nothing else we can do in that case.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, about the rules, about the rules and the procedures, absolutely.
I'm reading the comments about the child-friendly spaces in prisons from different attendants. It's interesting to see that that it is in development in different areas of Europe, of course of the world, of like creating these child-friendly spaces, like encouraged by the prison themselves or prison mix of volunteers. What are your experiences with how the families see the prison visits? What are their main worries with
well,
children?
The visits, what for the kids to visit
for the kids and in general, what are the main worries that the families are transmitting to you when they talk to you?
Well, it's mostly about the permissions and the why my inmate didn't get this permission requested months ago. Could I send in a package this coat with this color, that the color must be absolutely different to the ones of the prison workers, not to confuse them. So the details like that have to be informed about that, and mainly about what when my familiar get into the semi-freedom. What is going to happen? What to do? It depends if it is of the it depends of the crime as well. It's sometimes cannot go back home. Sometimes have to go to different city.
Mm-hmm. And regarding the prison visits, what are the main concerns?
Well, we had one case just as with divorced couple. With divorced couple, the father was requesting to visit his son inside. What happened was that he didn't know how many people can go inside at the time, how many visits a week can they have, because the son didn't want to give the father all that information. The son just wanted to have the mother visit. So our concerning was to explain the father that it's not the administration purpose who is visiting the inmate, is the inmate approving who wants him to get the visit from.
Mm-hmm. And can I extend this question also to Mircea about the main concerns related to contact through the visits to prison, the main concerns that families have in this situation? Mircea, you're muted.
Okay, excuse me. In Romania, it's exactly like in everywhere, I think. The member who is in prison, they have to make the list with those people who can visit them. So if the list is not approved by the warden of the prison, they cannot be on the visit at all. They have right for intimacy with the family, with the wife, if they have a wife. but it's important to have a good behavior to be able to have a kind of different. It's the visitation is different. If you are a man who are willing to try to change something in your life, you have a different kind of visitation on the table. You can meet each other, we can touch each other. Otherwise, it's a glass visitation. You cannot just speak by glass. But they have rights. They have rights. But again, it's about what kind of relationship is the family. If the man he's in prison, he allowed the family to come to visit them. Well, the problem we have different one. It is that some people, some family didn't want to come to visit them, and they need a lot of family support. So we try to, when we have such a situation, we try to contact the family and we try to make them to ask them to come to visit the family member who is in the prison. Of course, it's hard to accept them because it's the same say so. It's not the first time when he promised he's gonna change, but he gonna get up again in the prison. So somehow the family deny them. So it is a statistic that if the sentence is bigger than 7 years, a lot of maybe 70% of the family deny them. So deny them, abandon them. So this is very hard. This is really hard. So for us, what we try to do is to try to reconnect them. If we know people in that area where the family is living, we try to send someone to say, look, okay, he made wrong, he did wrong, he's ashamed, he damaged your family, he really, okay, but you have to give him the second chance, or the third one, or the fifth one. Okay, try again. He's trying again to change. So somehow we try to reconnect them. But again, have to be from both sides. And again, value, I said, if it's no love, it's really hard. I mean, have to be affection above all other things.
Thank you. I also want to just highlight that Children of Prisoners Europe has also written a comment about a survey, an online survey, asking children what they would like in a child-friendly space in prison, which might be interesting for children to answer.
Yes, we try to we realize that it's important that it's important when the children of the prisoners are coming to visit their parents to don't be a really dark, gray place where they should be afraid. Okay, so somehow through the volunteers again, we try to arrange those rooms where the visitation room it is, if they give us permission to do it, and we paint them with Disney cartoons on the wall, on the floor, on the ceiling. So we try to make them a comfortable place, but at the same time, we try to not be too comfortable. I mean, to be comfortable, to be a place where they should really don't feel that it's prison, but somehow it is not comfortable because they're going to see people who are working with the prisoners being dressed in the guards' clothes. So somehow we cannot actually take it out all the picture from being that place. But we try to do everything we can to be much comfortable, to have a place where they can play or they draw something on the papers, to don't be something prison, bars, and lock doors. So we are trying to.
I think also, Luís, you have experience in this kind of child-friendly spaces with mothers that are in prison, meet their children in your work in Casal de Criança previously, right?
Yeah, it's. I think that a woman prison, maybe it's different in some ways, not all the ways, but in some ways, because when there are mothers in prison, they tend to be less security centered, bias by the prison and the authorities, and they are more open to child meeting and child activities in prison. But in Portugal, there are main issue that there is human resources in prison. So a lack of human resources in prison tends to make these encounters less to occur. Sorry. So there there is not a political decision about the prison and what they are tend to let happen or not, but mainly in many cases there are so many encounters that can occur mainly because of lack of human resources to open the rooms for children and mothers, to um, make a walk by the prison yards to get the visitors to go to the the rooms, and there are talking about spaces or spaces that are prepared to child and mothers encounters. There has been an evolution in Portugal, as I know, in creating the adaptation of spaces that are more friendly, child friendly, and that's some kind of replicate um, a room in the house that children and mothers can play and gather together and talk about so much stuff. But as I said, it's not a political or administration direction there is bad or to security based. Is the lack of resources that makes the all thing goes just the intention and not the concretization of how it could be.
Okay, and just one question, just whoever of you wants to answer about what Maria Jose was saying about that very difficult time where the prisoner is getting out of prison and he's trying to reintegrate into the family, into finding a job, just getting back into society. Do you think what do you usually do? Do you think that there are services for them that you usually direct them to, or what is like succinctly, because we are 5 minutes from the end, but just in a summary, what do you think is there are services there? What do you usually say to them?
If you ask me, I will try to our volunteers to try to find him a place where to have a job. We try to show them the place where they should try to go to us from the state for social providers to give them a job. But also we try to stay beside them when the members of the want to accept them because there was an ex-prisoner. We try to prepare them for the prison that can be this kind of case. They will say, no, you are ex-prisoner, we don't want to hire you. So we try to tell them, don't worry, let's try again. So we don't stop. And I think it's the key to the society, the society who have to be beside them, beside that family when that man is released from the prison.
I think in Portugal, we tend to say in our intervention that the day that the prisoners go out is we start to work in that day. We start at the day one that they are in prison. It's a continuous work, not just centered in the person, but in all the services around. So one of the things that we tend or that we like to do is what we call getting out bag of tools. When this person gets out, they have some kind of script line that the things that they can go, the service that they can call, we have to call to that services. We make monitoring calls 3 days, 7 days. We have a schedule for making that support. But in Portugal, I think that maybe it's similar in other European countries. We have a very big problem in there aren't houses for the people. So when they go out, they don't have a house to live. And this is a huge problem because so much of the other things that we are trying to work with that person, something about getting a work, something about getting documents right, actualization of the documents, needs to have a house, needs to have a residence. So it's like a big and main issue that we are facing right now, is that we are trying to get a bag of tools to getting out and to make the living. But with the absence of a house, people tend to go to the foster care. It's not foster care, but temporary
Shelter.
houses, big houses with many people. In these big houses, they tend to mix people in prison that have been in prison, tends to meet drug users, tends to gather together the people that don't have a house, that live in the streets. And when we are trying to grasp a new future, there aren't the best environment, because in some ways there are a dark environment, a difficult environment. Okay, so it's a challenge that we are facing in Portugal.
We're waiting to hear finally from Maria. Wrap up words.
Sorry.
Maria, yes, on the situation of what do you say to the families when they ask you, and what can the person that was in prison, now that they are coming out, where can they find a job? What can you tell them?
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just answering to a person on the chat. We've already got from one of the universities in Madrid, Rey Juan Carlos, a leaflet that is in several languages, explaining what to do once they come out, what organizations to go to ask for a place where to live, where to get a job with their circumstances, what if they are over 52 years old, what if they are nearly into the retired age. So that there is already a leaflet with that information that we already brought them into prison to the inmates, and also show them to the families so that they can have at least, because even though there are many years for their families to come out, families are thinking already, what is he going to do? Where is he going to live? Where is he going to work? Many questions, many years previous to the period of coming out for good, to being released.
Thank you. So.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Alfonso, I'm handing over to you to wrap up because.
Okay. Well, being in an international airport, she's doing the best that she can, and I thank Rhiannon for organizing this event, because she's been really doing an effort here, and I think it has been a very informative event. that people here have enjoyed, and I thank especially our 3 speakers today. If you want more information, we have a contact form also on the UpFamilies page, and we remain there for all your queries. Thank you for all the attendance, and I hope you have enjoyed the event, which has been recorded and will be emailed a link to you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you all.
everyone.